Tom James, double Olympic gold medalist, double Olympic gold medalist. Welcome to SportsvibeTV and congratulations on winning gold once again in the coxless fours. Now that it's all over, what's the emotion? Relief, joy, everything?
It is a bit of everything. I think I'll always remember the bit right after the race, that period just after where you realise, well, everything sort of comes to a head because you've been focusing. We've known it's the London Olympics for 7 years, and you've been training it for the last 4 since Beijing. And obviously that moment before the 6 weeks leading up to it, we had lost in Munich to the Aussies, and then we had 6 weeks together, and it was a really good period, intense. We had a real sort of clear idea what we wanted to do. And then when you build up to the final, obviously you're quite nervous, you're quite stressed about wanting to know what the result is, but you've got to go out and do it. But I remember really looking forward to the race. I think we were confident of what we were going to do. But yeah, then it's then your world sort of changes in that 6 minutes. You do the race, and whilst you're doing the race, you're not really thinking necessarily where you are compared to others. You're just racing them, and you're being quite critical of the rowing. You're thinking about each stroke and making the next one better, and what can you do to make it better. And then suddenly you see the bubbles go underneath, which is the finish line, and then you realise you've won, you've beaten them, and it's kind of a shock. I don't think you can fully take it in. So there's this sort of conflict in your head. You're still thinking about you've just finished this ordeal, and there is a massive sense of relief, but then you're trying to comprehend about the fact that you've actually done it and you're Olympic champion in your home country in front of this amazing crowd, and nothing can get better than this. And yeah, it's big relief, because that week leading up it's nasty. You have thoughts like, why the hell am I doing this, putting myself through this, because it's horrible.
And you came for gold, didn't you? It was gold or nothing as far as you were concerned.
It would have been gold or nothing. I mean, weeks past, if I got silver medal, obviously I'd be happy with that, but given the circumstance and the fact that everyone expects the four to win, and the fact that the four is about winning it for GB, then it would have been gold or bust.
Losing to the Australians 6 weeks before, in hindsight now, a good thing?
A very good thing.
Because?
Because we were still quite a young crew, and we'd been together for two and a half months prior to that. When we started, I think all of us could agree it was terrible when we started, really bad. We were all good at rowers individually, but Pete and Andy had been a pair for 3 years and been doing their thing, and they were going incredibly quickly. Alex and I had been in the four the previous year. We were world champions. We've been going really quickly, but we've been doing our things separately. And the other problem is we all use the same terminology. So we talk about length, a good catch, how you want to accelerate the boat. We all talk about things, but they mean subtly different, feelings and sensations. And those sort of things take time to get through, and we had a bit of an ordeal just trying to get the boat up and running to get a good base speed, which we did just in time for our first race. So we won in Belgrade, which was fantastic. And so then you're on a bit of a high, a bit of a roll, you're still trying to move things on, and we got to Lucerne. And we basically fudged it together a bit. So we'd had some really good results and then some slightly sort of average, hadn't really got consistent. So we got out to Lucerne, which was the middle race of our season, first time we raced in the Aussies, and in the heat we broke the world record. We got a fantastic time. So you sort of think, well, this is easy, we're going to win the Olympics, a world record, a massive world record. This was in the heat, and then we went out to race the final where we met the Aussies. They were ahead of us for nearly the whole race. And we ended up scrambling it. It was pretty ropey rowing, the rate was very high, there wasn't much sort of length or composure, and we just won it. So, you still think, well, world record, we've beaten the Aussies, we're going to win this, but we've got some improvements to make. And the next couple of weeks before then Munich, our final race, where we're going to race the Aussies again for the last time before the Olympics, we made some improvements, but I don't think we had really properly addressed these differences between perhaps Andy and Pete and Alex and myself. We spent so much effort just trying to getting some of the problems together. We haven't really properly addressed it, and probably being honest amongst ourselves about how we're going to do that. It's quite difficult to make changes when you've been rowing a certain way for 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to give, someone's got to, talk about it. It can be quite difficult sometimes, particularly when you have that period where you just get together, you're trying to be positive and everyone's, you have that sort of honeymoon period. You're trying to.
But but regardless of that, you still had set the world record and you had beaten the Australians in the last race. So what should have happened, according to the script, was that you beat them in Munich, you go to London, you beat them in London, job done.
Job done. But we got to Munich and we realised, when we got beaten, both in the semi and the final, we realised there were some things we were doing probably fundamentally not well enough to be consistent.
Now, at that point, Tom, obviously it would have stirred you on to get things sorted, but from an Australian point of view, to beat you twice just before the Olympics would be perfect for them, wouldn't it? You think, right, well, confidence-wise, we've beaten them twice, they're going to go into the home Olympics knowing we've beaten them twice. Happy days. Yeah,
I mean, for them it was ideal. They'd come out over to the UK, they got beaten in New Zealand, and then they'd stepped on and beaten us in Munich. And they had every right to think, well, we've got 6 weeks left to really step on again and move further away from the British.
So how did that make those 6 weeks, I would imagine, intense?
It did make it intense, but I think the good things for us, we felt very confident we could generate some very good speed. But we weren't always doing it together. It was inconsistent, so some days we were really good, some days we were pretty rubbish. And I don't think all four of us necessarily comfortable with the fact that the person sitting behind or in front really understood each other's thoughts and how we wanted to do things. So, when you get into a crew, one of the first things you need is some sort of form of identity about how you rode that way.
Okay, 2 more questions. First of all, I'm expecting you to look like a total wreck, like a man who's drunk for Britain for the last 3 weeks. I know Hodgie certainly did that after Beijing and was very happy to say so. But you're looking quite good. But is that just a facade? Have you been enjoying yourself?
I've had a fantastic time. I've had a week of recuperation in North Wales, which is a bit quieter than my parents. But you should see me yesterday morning. It was pretty horrible because we had the GQ Awards, which was fantastic.
Oh, okay,
really
cool.
Good fun.
Yeah.
And that was a really good night. But yeah, it's not all about getting hammered. Although when you're out with your mates,
it is.
It's great. Yeah, it is.
Okay, final question. Peter Reid has already said, "Bring on Rio."
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Andrew Hodge, I think, was thinking about it. Yeah. Tom James.
The more. The more people sort of...
the shouts at the Democratic Congress right now? 4 more years.
4 more years. That's the thing. 4 more years is a long time to...
3 gold medals.
But 3 would be very nice.
Rio.
And there is something about it which is very appealing. And 3 would be quite nice. And it is so much fun. The Olympics is something so special to be a part of.
And you've got a few years left in your years, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, physically I can easily do it. I could probably be a better athlete than I am now. So I think that.
So that's a yes then. that's a
I need to
maybe.
let these Olympics feel like a memory before I start thinking about those steps. But Rio would be phenomenal Olympics. And yeah, three would be nice as well. But I need to think about it. It's too big a decision just to say. And up until the Olympic final, I hadn't thought about anything afterwards. I've not planned anything, nothing. And so I'm just trying to get my head around it, trying to fill my days now. How do I do it, in an organised way rather than just waking up at 10, 11 o'clock from a nice evening. And then
sounds like fun to me.
It's fun for a little bit, but then you start to think, actually, I better make better use of my day. And there's so many things to do and get on, and I don't want to miss any of that.
Sure. Well, Tom, many congratulations. It was absolutely fantastic to see you boys come home, and what a great Olympics in general. And we'll hopefully see you in Rio.
Brilliant, thank you.